Hello, hello, and welcome to the Vibrant Health Show. Today, we're going to be talking gut health, leaky gut. What the heck is leaky gut? I feel like it's one of those terms that you hear, but you have no idea what it really is, or if you have it, or what to do about it. So I want to make sure we cover all of that together. So I'm just tagging everyone and getting them in. So we'll cover a lot of stuff today, as usual, right? I always say that. But to start off, just a very real moment. So it's been a very tearful 24 hours for my family. We have a little 10-year-old puppy who is on her last couple of days. So if you will bear with me through my red eyes and my scratchy voice, it is because we've taken some time to just love on her and bond as a family and thank her for being the sweet little companion that she is. So a little extra emotional today, but in the sweetest way possible. So thank you for bearing with that with me. And I believe that what I'm going to teach you guys today is worth you hanging out with me for these next few minutes to learn about leaky gut. So thank you for being here with me. This is a very welcome distraction from the emotions we've been having this last 24 hours. So let's dive into it. So leaky gut is kind of a buzzword now, right? Like adrenal fatigue and leaky gut. And I feel like there's all these words and terms that have been used in the middle of like not your medical doctor, right? Like rarely will your medical doctor say, I think you have leaky gut. But you're hearing it a lot more in this functional kind of integrative space. A lot of holistic doctors and health coaches are using this terminology. And similar to when I speak about adrenal fatigue, a lot of doctors will say adrenal fatigue isn't real, but they will say adrenal insufficiency is a real thing. So it's really just in the terminology. And I am of the mindset that I don't really care what you call it, as long as we know what it is and we know how to properly handle it. That is more important to me than you using a word that might not, be a diagnosable term. So although leaky gut is not technically a diagnosable term, it's not a diagnosis you're going to get from your medical doctor, the term intestinal hyperpermeability is. And again, I don't really care what you call it, right? We're going to get to the same conclusion either way, but there is a ton of very growing body of research showing validity to this hyperpermeability, this leaky gut, and how it affects all of our systems, right? There's so many things linked to poor gut health. And I do believe that is well known, right? We know that our gut health is important for our immune system. Some people may or may not know your gut helps convert hormones. Your gut makes neurotransmitters for mood. It helps you focus. It helps energy. I mean, your gut has so many jobs that if you do not have a healthy gut, it is almost impossible to have a healthy anything else, right? And we forget that often. But we also have so many just kind of quick fixes and things out there that aren't really helping very much, that we think we're working on gut health, but really all we're doing is adding a few supplements and hoping they're working. So what I'm going to teach you today is really leaky gut is kind of at the foundation of gut health. How you get it is very important. What you do about it is incredibly important. And also making sure that you are fixing these things in the right order. You're going to start hearing me talk a lot more about this. One of the things me and my team are becoming well known for is the strategy we use when we're helping women get well, right? There's a strategy. There's a plan. You can't just throw a couple of symptoms at some numbers, cross your fingers and hope everything gets better. There is an order and a plan that needs to be followed if you really want long-term results, right? There's a lot of things you can do for short-term results. You've probably done a lot of them, right? You've tried the things, but if you don't have a specific plan that is addressing the true trigger, what we call the root cause first, and then taking care of what we call the adaptations, the things that have happened because of the root cause. If you don't do it in that order, if you're trying to fix all of these symptoms that were simply adaptations to a problem, you are never going to get anywhere. And that's the person frustrated, right? Maybe you've been to a functional medicine doctor. You feel like they're constantly adding supplements. You're constantly trying something different. And you're not really much farther along than you were, 2 years ago. That's probably because you're doing something at the wrong time. And sometimes it can be a wonderful thing. Here's what gets confusing. It can be a great thing, right? Like, let's say a probiotic. And it's not necessarily that a probiotic is bad, but if you're using it at the wrong time for the wrong reason, not only might it not work, you could actually be doing yourself more harm than good because there is an order that needs to be followed when it comes to healing. So we're going to start talking about that today, but you're going to hear a lot more about the importance of the order, where to start, what comes next, what are true root causes versus adaptations in the body that happen because of those triggers. And once you start to understand that, it'll become much more clear what your starting place needs to be. And for a lot of people, step one is always inflammation and immune system function, right? We're going to talk about that today because the gut falls under that category. I have been doing this for over a decade, and 99% of the time, someone's true root cause has to do with their immune system, which could be overgrowth in the gut, it could be infections, parasites, Epstein-Barr virus, some type of pathogen or immune system trigger, and massive inflammation are almost always the things that start the catalyst, or they are the catalyst for the illness and symptoms that come from there. That is almost always number one, which is why we start there. And for most people, you're going to find a lot of those triggers in your gut. And those same triggers cause leaky gut. So that's why we're starting here today. So step one for me, when I work with anybody, is always identifying what immune system triggers do we have, what's making your immune system not function the way that it's supposed to, and what sources of inflammation do we have, and how is that impacting the body. So when that comes to leaky gut, first let me explain what it is, because I think it's hugely important to understand how just the gut can create a multitude of symptoms. So I actually pulled up a diagram. You guys have probably seen this before, but maybe you haven't had it explained to you in detail. So let me pull this up for us. I'm going to show you what happens to cause leaky gut, and then we're going to make this kind of real and make it make sense for where you're at in life. So right here, on the left-hand side, this is the inside of your gut. So we talk about gut lining, right? What is supposed to happen in a healthy gut is you consume food, right? You chew up your food, you swallow it into, pieces that are easy to digest. It gets into your, digestive system. And a healthy gut, we have these things called tight junctions. That's these kind of little blob-looking things here. They are connected by these junctions. And if you can see my hands, they should be nice and close, right? A healthy stomach, those junctions are pretty close, which means they only let in small micronutrients. That's what we want. Only small amounts of micronutrients should be absorbed. They should get into the bloodstream. And that's what keeps our vitamins balanced, our nutrients balanced, our minerals balanced. That's how we get energy from food, right? Through those micronutrients getting into the bloodstream, when our gut is nice and healthy and those tight junctions are really close together. Unfortunately, what happens is any type of inflammation will cause those blobs to kind of get, like when things are inflamed, they're like abnormal sizes, they don't look the same, they kind of feel yucky. Your gut does the same thing. And when that happens, these tight junctions, because of inflammation, start to pull apart. Okay, so you no longer have that nice tight junction. Now they've pulled apart. And that's when things start getting into the bloodstream, which means bigger things start getting into the bloodstream. Things like infections, right? What should have been able to go all the way through your digestive system and your body rids itself of it and it never gets in your bloodstream. Well, now bacteria, yeast, parasites, Epstein-Barr virus, heavy metals, mold, they're leaking, right? Leaky gut, they're leaking through your gut and getting into your bloodstream, where now they can circulate systemically and cause big, big issues. This is also the way you develop food allergies. So when you eat a food, you're supposed to, right, chew it up, consume it, absorb the micronutrients, and then eliminate the rest. But when these foods can slip through, leak through your tight junctions and get into the bloodstream, your body says, oh crap, this food isn't supposed to be in the bloodstream. That's not normal. We're going to flag it as a foreign invader. Clearly it's doing something it's not supposed to do. And next time we see this food, we're going to attack it because we don't want it getting back in the bloodstream, right? And that's the same thing it does with pathogens. This can happen with toxins. This can happen with other sources of inflammation. But the problem comes when it leaks through the gut lining and gets into the bloodstream. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, we talk often about food allergies. I love food allergy testing. Now, I know you'll hear different opinions out there, and that's fine. I'm a firm believer of to each their own, like whatever. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. I know in my experience, not only personally, but with the thousands of women we've helped, that knowing your food allergies makes a big difference. And here's why. If your inflammatory response and your immune system is the first place we have to start, even if you want to balance your hormones, if you want to lose weight, if you want more energy, if you want your skin to look better, if you want your hair to stop falling out, whatever your goals are, we have to start with inflammation and immune system, which means our job in phase one, inflammation and immune system, is to remove as many triggers to your immune system as we can possibly identify and remove, right? There'll be some things that you can't always identify and remove. Don't get hung up on those. Let's work on the things that we can, right? So if we're removing infections, if we're removing overgrowth, and if we're removing foods that we know your body is reacting to, you're going to reduce inflammation. You're going to allow your immune system to have more capacity to deal with the big things, and you're going to be able to heal faster. So when we test food allergies, we test them through your IgG antibodies, which are found in your bloodstream. So we're actually checking your body for what foods has it flagged as a foreign invader, and what food, every time you eat it, does it wage a war against, which causes massive inflammation, which redirects the focus of your immune system for up to 21 days. That's the research. You have a delayed response from these allergies in your bloodstream for up to 21 days, which means if you eat a food allergy today, you could have chronic inflammation from that food for 21 days, which makes it almost impossible for you to pinpoint what food you think it was, because maybe what you ate a week ago is now making you feel really crappy today. And you're trying to think, what did I eat yesterday? It could have been a week ago. It could have been 20 days ago that's impacting your body, which is why I'm all about don't guess, stop doing all these crazy elimination diets, don't make it harder on yourself. Ask your body. It will tell you, what foods am I reacting to? And then you're able to avoid those because you're getting them by allowing the stuff into the bloodstream. So we check the bloodstream for those allergies. So I highly recommend food allergy testing. I love it. That's one of the ways you can help minimize leaky gut, and we'll go into more detail on that. But really the goal is we need to be able to remove all of the things as best as possible that are getting into the bloodstream. Because what happens with leaky gut is it's not just the fact that the gut lining is inflamed that gives you all of these symptoms. It's when all of those things can leak into the bloodstream that creates an immune response, which creates systemic inflammation, which is the root cause of almost all chronic conditions. So if we can reduce inflammation, reduce the immune system load, and then fix the leaky gut, a lot of times, let's say half of your symptoms will resolve just doing that, because then your body can start focusing on the things it hasn't been able to for years and years. Does that make sense? You guys following me on this? I want to make sure you understand the physiological process, this hyperpermeability. That means too much gaps in the gut, basically, is what hyperpermeability means. Too many things are getting through, right? It's too permeable. That is the scientific definition of leaky gut. So the goal is to not let things get in the bloodstream and then be able to reduce the inflammation and fix the gut so those tight junctions can come back together, which means then you don't have to worry so much about being exposed to things, because our bodies were designed to be able to handle pathogens and yeast and bacteria. Like, we knew when we were designed that we were going to get exposed to those things. We have systems to deal with them. The problem is our modern lifestyle, inflammation, the foods we're eating, the stress in the environment, the hormone imbalance, the medications that we're on, the birth control we've been on, the NSAIDs that we've been taking chronically for years because we were told they were safe. All of those things have created an inflammatory environment in the gut where now, unfortunately, it's actually more common for someone to have leaky gut than it is for someone not to have leaky gut. So if you're wondering if you have it, the answer is probably yes, because we live in an environment that just creates that perfect ecosystem for leaky gut to exist. So in one part, we have to start changing our habits, right? Healthy living habits will help minimize your risk or the amount of time you're going to continue to have leaky gut. But then it's also really important to start testing the gut to see what things were the triggers in the first place. So step one for leaky gut, always lifestyle, right? And if you're following along, we have the fall challenge right now that has a gut health focus, really making sure we're reducing inflammatory foods. The number one food culprit that causes leaky gut, does anyone know? What do you think the number one food is that can cause or make leaky gut worse? What would your guess be? Actually gluten, right? Some people say sugar, some people say, different things like that, but it's gluten. There's a lot of research showing that gluten really creates that inflammation inside those tight junctions and makes it worse, even if you don't necessarily have a gluten allergy. So gluten across the board for me is always a change. If you have not gone gluten-free yet, today's your day. There is no reason not to, right? I fully believe gluten is not a healthy food for anybody of any age. So that's a great first start you can make. So making sure you're minimizing gluten, but also you want to minimize any other foods that are going to create extra inflammation that's not necessary, which would be, too much alcohol consumption, sugars, definitely artificial sugars. If you're still a Splenda, equal, sweet and low kind of person, those have to go immediately. Those are tied to a lot of inflammatory response inside the guts, making sure we're minimizing not only processed sugar, but also our artificial sugars. That's incredibly important. Dyes and food colors, truly most of your processed foods in general are the culprit of leaky gut. So making sure you're really tending towards whole foods, things that are actually from the earth, from the ground, things that nourish your body, and removing as many of the toxins, chemicals, inflammatory substances, gluten, and most cows' dairy, right? Now, let's not get into what if it's a certain type of cow or what if it's grass-fed? Those are much better, but for the general population who those are not the things they're consuming, if you are consuming regular cow's milk dairy, I would definitely avoid that right away. So dairy, sugars, gluten, and then all of those other inflammatory foods. For a much deeper dive into more nutrition education, I have videos in here, but we also have the fall challenge going on right now. It's not too late if you just want the resources. You are welcome to those meal plans. I'll put the link below to make the food piece of the puzzle really easy for you guys. But that's step one, right? Because we're not going to be able to fix your gut if you're still consuming a ton of inflammation, right? You have to do that piece. But for a lot of you, you've done that piece. You're like, I changed my food. I feel like I eat pretty healthy. I've done a lot of things, yet I still don't feel better. For you, that next step is testing. We have to figure out what immune trigger is perpetuating this leaky gut. Do you have a bacterial infection in the gut? And they're chronic. A lot of times they've been there for years. Do you have yeast or fungal overgrowth? Do you have a parasite? Do you have abnormal inflammation markers in the gut? Do you have a hard time digesting and absorbing your nutrients, which is creating inflammation? There are so many things that you can learn from getting a comprehensive stool sample. I wish it was mandatory in healthcare. It really should be. If we know that the gut is that important, why are we not doing mandatory stool samples at your well checkups and not waiting until we're just doing the Cologuard just to see if you have colon cancer? That's one thing. Yes, it's important to know you don't have colon cancer, but what about the actual health of your microbiome? It's so simple, and compared to a lot of medical tests, it's pretty cost effective compared to a colonoscopy or surgeries or going through all these things, which is typically their next suggestion if you have digestive issues. Why are we not doing that first? Like, it blows my mind. We could change the health of the world if we were just proactively looking at the most important systems in the body, and immune system health and gut health is number one, even above hormones. I know I talk about hormones a lot because I love working with hormones, but you will not have a hormone imbalance and have a perfect gut. I can almost guarantee you that. There is no way you have a perfectly healthy gut and a massive hormone imbalance. They go hand in hand. So gut, inflammation, and immune system first, and a comprehensive stool sample is the best way to do that. There will be so many aha moments, things you had no idea were going on in your gut that you might not even feel. In fact, a lot of people who have really bad gut issues doesn't necessarily mean you have digestive issues, right? Just because you have normal bowel movements, and maybe you don't, right? Maybe you're constipated, maybe you're bloated, maybe you have diarrhea. If you have those things, you know for sure something's wrong. But I don't have any digestive issues. That was never my symptom, right? I had a lot of chronic pain. I had psoriasis, I had migraines, I had hormone imbalance. I had all of those symptoms, but my digestion has always been relatively normal. So I was shocked when I found a lot of my issues on a stool sample because I wouldn't have guessed that based on my symptoms. But now knowing how they work together, Of course I had gut issues, right? There's no way I had all that other crap if my gut was working perfectly. So regardless of digestive issues or not, it's foundational, right? 80% of immune function comes from your gut. The gut-brain connection, right? Your gut and your brain for your mood, your focus, your brain clarity, all of those things are connected. We have to test the gut. Right now, because it's so important, and I have not talked a whole lot about stool samples recently, I've decided to give you guys a sale on the stool sample kit. So we're doing $50 off the stool sample. I put the link here and I'll drop it below as well. So if you want to get a comprehensive stool sample, I'm making it so easy. I'm giving you $50 off, and I'm including a test read appointment with one of my doctors. So when your test results come back, you get to talk to a practitioner, you get to go over your results, you get to ask questions, you get to get clarification, they get to explain all those things with you, because just having the information and not knowing what any of it means isn't always helpful. So at no extra charge, you're actually getting that consultation with the practitioner included in just the cost of the test. If you have never done a stool sample, again, I 100% believe every single person needs to have a stool sample. You need to know what's going on with your gut, because there's so many things you can't guess at. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of that. I'm only running that sale till the end of the month. It expires on October 31st. You have the links that I'll drop below. I suggest that fully for every single person. There is not a single person I would probably say doesn't need one. Highly encourage you to take advantage of that. If you're still not sure if you need the test or not, I'm going to go through the top 10 symptoms that are signs that you probably have leaky gut or some type of dysfunction in your gut. And if you check off one or more of these symptoms, guess what I'm going to say? Get a stool sample, right? That's your next step for sure. So here we go. Top 10 signs that you might have leaky gut or you have an issue in your gut. Number one is obviously our digestive issues, right? If you have constipation, if you have bloating, if you don't have a bowel movement every single day, something is going on in your gut. And not only is it just uncomfortable and can cause bloating and weight gain, not having a bowel movement means you're not properly detoxing, which means bacteria and toxins and inflammation are continuing to circulate in your body instead of being properly eliminated. And it is that systemic inflammation that now leads to all of these other symptoms. So if you have any digestive issues, you absolutely need to get a stool sample and see what's up with that. Because typically when you go to your doctor, the only things they're going to suggest is Miralax, PPIs, acid reducers, like things that are not only typically not very helpful, but those are well known to have major side effects long-term. So just taking a bunch of PPIs and hoping that that helps is not going to be your long-term solution. You've got to find the cause first, right? The order is important. Find the cause, remove the cause, let the body heal. Checking on your stool sample. So digestive issues, number one. Number two, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, ADD, ADHD. It's one of the reasons a stool sample is the most common test I run on kids, is if there's stuff going on in their gut, especially with our modern diet, no wonder their brains don't work. No wonder they can't concentrate. No wonder they have all of these issues. Have you seen what we're feeding our kids recently? They don't even get, some kids go weeks without even getting anything of nutritional value. Like everything they've had was fake or processed. And we wonder why we have an uptick in behavioral issues. Check their gut. Let's see what's going on. How can we support brain development? The same goes for adults, right? Like I just saw a picture of somebody who posted, she was having a stressful week. So she was like leaning in on all of her like go-tos, and it was soda and there was chocolate and there was Tic Tacs and there was all of these things that are full of artificial dyes and colors. And it was her comfort food. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're already stressed and you don't feel good, and I know your mood's all over the place, and then you're just bombarding yourself with these neurotoxins, and we're wondering why we're so sick. That's not the answer, right? Temporary satisfaction is going to give you long-term illness. Look for the source, look for the cause, deal with that first, and stop giving your body all these temporary sources of energy. Figure out what's going on. So if you have brain fog, if you have, and the next one is mood issues, if you have an unstable mood, your neurotransmitters are made in your gut. Your dopamine is your happy hormone, your serotonin, your epinephrine, your norepinephrine, all of those have some conversion pathways in your gut. If you have inflammation and poor gut health, you're not getting the stability in your mood or your brain function. So making sure, especially if you have chronic issues with mood or focus, that you're checking on that gut and how healthy that is. So mood and gut, We have digestive issues, we have mood issues, we have brain fog issues, and then skin issues. This was huge for me. I had psoriasis head to toe, bleeding. It was awful. I had it for almost my entire life. And I felt like I tried every topical cream. I'd done the medications. I tried all this stuff. I had tried even changing my diet, right? I still ate very clean when my skin was really bad. Turns out whatever is inside will get pushed out through the skin. And until you deal with the internal inflammation, there is no topical cream that is going to take away your symptoms long-term if it's coming from the inside out. So eczema, rosacea, acne definitely can be both gut-related and hormonal, but any external skin issues, always look internally first to find the cause and then allow that to heal. So skin issues, we already touched on a little bit, but hormone imbalance. Estrogen has to be cleared through the gut and the liver. Progesterone gets stimulation from the neurotransmitters through the gut. There's so many things that a proper gut can help you balance naturally. Everyone always asks me, how do I balance my hormones naturally? Get your body so freaking healthy that it remembers how to balance your hormones. It knows how to do it. We've just blocked so many functions that our body has forgotten how to do these basic things because it's been bombarded with inflammation and immune triggers for most of us for decades, right? So if you have a hormone imbalance, we're still going to start with inflammation and immune system, right? I don't care what you come to me looking for help with. We're going to start with inflammation and immune system because we have to, right? That is the physiology of your body. It's how you heal that always comes first because that's creating the hormone imbalance. The hormones never just wake up one day and say, I think we're going to be in balance today. Ever. That never happens. You have to have these stressors and this inflammation that has created the hormone imbalance. So if you have hormone imbalance, we still go back to gut and immune system. Weight gain, definitely. If you're not absorbing the right nutrients, if you're holding on to inflammation, your body holds on to weight for protection. If there's overgrowth in the body, if there's yeast or bacteria, your body is going to make more fat cells to protect you from those. And until you get rid of what your body is protecting you from, you cannot even force yourself to lose weight. Maybe you've done strict diets. Maybe you've increased your exercise and your weight won't budge. It's because it's still protecting you, most likely from an overgrowth or an infection. So weight gain or inability to lose weight, always go back and check immune system and inflammation. Food allergies or food intolerances, whether you know you have allergies or not, if you just can't tolerate a lot of foods, if you're sensitive to a lot of foods, you have leaky gut. Things are getting in your bloodstream. Your body has flagged all these foreign invaders, and now it thinks that the food is the enemy. When it's not the food, it's because it's gotten into your bloodstream and your immune system had to respond to that. So if you have allergies or you have lots of reactions to food, fix the gut first. And a lot of times you will see those food allergies minimize all on their own just because you are getting healthier. Same goes for seasonal allergies, right? Seasonal allergies are an overreaction to the environment, right? It's a hyper state because your immune system and your inflammation are already on overdrive, that now it's taking all of these things that you're breathing in that are getting into your bloodstream and they're attacking them and they're creating allergens from those. Getting healthier helps seasonal allergies, right? The healthier your body is, the better it can respond to its environment. Checking inflammation, checking the gut, making sure you don't have other things that are triggering leaky gut by looking at a stool sample can dramatically change the amount of seasonal allergies you get as well. Leaky gut has been very highly linked to autoimmune disease. So autoimmune disease is, right, we always say it's kind of the overreaction of the immune system attacking. Some people will say itself. I do not believe that. If you have an autoimmune condition, it is your immune system attacking something. I'm going to do a whole series on autoimmune disease coming back up again. We haven't done that in a while, but it's not just your immune system going wacko for no reason. Let me tell you that. I promise you that. It is your immune system reacting to a lot of the same triggers we just talked about that have gotten lodged in different areas of the body. For example, if the same bacteria or Epstein-Barr virus gets stuck in the thyroid, don't you think it's smart of your body to attack the virus in the thyroid? It makes antibodies. It makes this big immune system flare. You get your blood work done. They say you have Hashimoto's and they don't know why. Well, it's because your immune system has gone to war in the thyroid to fight off Epstein-Barr virus, to fight off bacteria, right? There's always a why. And if you don't have your why yet, that's why you need better testing. What is your body fighting off? Now, if it goes to different tissues, right? If it goes to the nervous system tissue, it could be MS. If it goes to the skin tissues, you could have Sjögren's, you could have lupus. It's all your body's response to something. The magic of holistic healthcare is find the something and then make a plan from there. So autoimmune disease and leaky gut are highly linked, as well as chronic pain and fibromyalgia. We talked about the immune response and the inflammatory response. Once it gets in the bloodstream, it gets systemic, which means it goes everywhere, which is mystery illness, mystery pain. I don't know why everything hurts, or sometimes it hurts over here, and then other days it hurts over here. My pain seems to move around. Because it's not your shoulder, it's not just your back, it's not just the tissue, it's inflammation in your bloodstream that circulates everywhere. And that can feel very heavy and painful. And that's when you get that fibromyalgia or that chronic fatigue diagnosis. But the same as the autoimmune disease. Why is my body responding? Why is it fighting so hard? Why is it creating so much inflammation? If you find that answer, then you get to make the plan. So let's go back to the plan. I'm going to just give you a brief overview, and I'm going to do series about this because it's so important for you to understand. But the plan always goes in this order. And this is one of the things that I, through my own journey, the last decade of doing this, I've created this order because over and over and over again, I keep going back to the literature, to the actual physiology. I've gone back to my anatomy and physiology textbooks and really looked at the connections again and realized that if we want to make long-term changes, right? If we want health to last, we need to make sure we're actually going in the same order that your body heals itself, right? That's the importance. Let's get back to basics and the things that we go in order of. Number one is called your nervous system. So that's really your brain communicating to your body. That's stress management. I talk often about this. I'm sure you've heard me talk about this, but your nervous system will control all functions of the body. So making sure that you are in control of your thoughts, you are in control of your stress, you have tools and resources to be able to manage those things. You can make yourself healthy and you can make yourself sick right up here, right in the brain and the nervous system. So I talk often about that. That's a huge pillar that needs to be addressed in any illness. So we have the nervous system, but then we start with immune system and inflammation, right? The nervous system we're always working on. It's a lifelong, right? We need to learn new patterns and new habits. When it comes to physically, what you're going to change first, inflammation and immune system. Once that is settled down, then we move on to hormones, adrenals, thyroid. We call that kind of the endocrine piece. So it's nervous system, immune system, endocrine system. And then, and only then, when your gut is good, your immune system is good, your inflammation is calmer, your hormones are starting to balance, then you're ready to move into a gentle detox, right? Blows my mind. I have gut issues. I should do this parasite cleanse. If it's the first thing you've ever done, you are going to make yourself sicker. You're going to mobilize a bunch of crap around your body that your body doesn't know what to do with. That is the last thing you want. I never start someone on a detox ever. It's not the right thing. In the order of the phases, the importance of how to heal your body, detox is never phase one. So please do not start there. So it comes to a point where we do have to detox. We have to clean out the cells. We have to reset the liver. We have to clean out the gut. But your body has to be ready for it. So it can be a long-term change, right? So we go nervous system, immune system, endocrine system, gentle detox. And then we start to rebuild. Rebuild once all the crap is gone. You can't rebuild. You can't take a bunch of probiotics. You can't take a bunch of B vitamins and vitamin D and all these things at the very beginning. Your body's deficient because of all of the other junk that you have, right? You're not only sick because of lack of one nutrient, I promise you. And your question needs to be, if someone says, oh, you're deficient in all of these things, you have no B and you have no D and you have no iron, let's give you all of these supplements for those. You ever stop for a second and say, why am I deficient in all of those things? What's eating it up? What am I not getting? What am I not absorbing? Before throwing a ton of supplements at things, correct the imbalances, and then you can rebuild with your true deficiencies. Too often I see people starting with deficiencies. You haven't fixed anything yet. That's not going to be your answer long-term. But once things are balanced and you've gently detoxed, you're ready to rebuild. And then we move on to what I call the energy system, which is getting your mitochondria, anti-aging, the fun stuff. Everyone wants that stuff, right? I want energy. I want libido. I want my hair to grow back. I want to feel amazing. I want to age in reverse. I love all that stuff. I do all that stuff, but you're not ready for that stuff until you fix the foundational things, right? So really working on energy and stamina and healthy exercise. Those are all important, but they're typically not priority number one if you have all of these other things going on. So that was a very high level overview of just the process it takes to really heal. But I hope in that you're noticing maybe you started too far down the line. Maybe you started with hormones, but you forgot about immune system. Maybe you tried to detox and felt crappy, but now you're realizing just did it too soon. Maybe you're on a ton of vitamins trying to fix all your deficiencies, but you still don't know why you're deficient. I always advocate for proper testing first, right? Get your stool sample. I talk often about the Dutch test, hormone and adrenal testing. You can get food allergy testing. You can start with one if that's all you can do right now, or you can get all of them if you want all the information. That's totally up to you, but start somewhere. And if you want to know what your best first step is, it's with the test. Get a stool sample, get a Dutch test, get something that gives you information about how to properly take care of your body. And because this month is about gut health and immune system health and the fall challenge, highly encourage that your first step is a comprehensive stool sample. So you get that discount, you get the practitioner call to go over all of the results so that you understand what you're looking at. But if you haven't done that yet, that's step one. And that way you can make an accurate plan to really fix this. So hopefully that was helpful. I'll come back and look through any of your comments and questions and make sure those get answered, but keep on with me. We got lots of stuff coming down. We're going to talk about autoimmune. We're going to talk about each of those phases of healing, what is right in each phase, what's not right in these phases, and why it's so important to make sure you have a plan and a strategy. From this point forward, there is no more throwing spaghetti at the wall, throwing 15 supplements down your throat and hoping something works. You get answers and you make a plan. That is the way to get vibrant health that lasts, which is my passion in life, teaching you how to create vibrant health and making sure it lasts for the rest of your life. So thank you guys so much for being with me today. I'll come back and answer all your questions, and I'll see you next week.